All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the World of Wrestling podcast. Here today to discuss about AEW Dynamite, May 20th, 2026. And I thought this show is a pretty fair, decent go-home show. Some interesting matches that occurred on here that I thought was fun and entertaining. We had Jericho and the Young Bucks kickstarting the show off, where we get a clip of Jericho and the Young Bucks talking to each other. They talk about their Stadium Stampede match at Double or Nothing, and the Young Bucks call themselves the Bucks of Jericho. But Jericho says he was thinking more like Y2 Jackson. And then they go ahead and they said that, I don't know about that. I think ours was a little bit better. And then Jericho says, okay, how about this? Bucks of Jericho or Y2 Jackson. 2 names, 1 team. Is basically what they came up with. Pretty fucking silly and off the walls there. I guess Jericho is just trying to come to a compromise and move along to their match. Jericho and the Young Bucks did go in a 6-man tag team match against Ricochet, Andrade, El Idolo, and Mark Davis. This match was a fun, entertaining 6-man tag team match. I am against the idea of having members or opponents wrestling each other on the go-home show just before they head into the pay-per-view. I think it's kind of silly. We get free ability to see what occurs before it actually happens, in a sense. And I guess it could kind of kill the momentum and intrigue of it. But Ricochet, Andrade, and Mark Davis end up winning this matchup. Pretty good match to start off the show, though. And out comes everyone else for the Stadium Stampede match, and they begin to fight around the arena, and that's how that closes out. Back from the commercial break, Renee Paquette is with Darby Allin. She asks him, he keeps defending his title. He says he has no choice. This is the greatest feeling in the world, being a world champion. He says it's hair against title. He says MJF is the most vain man in the world. Tell Speedball he will do whatever it takes, so he better do the same. My thoughts on Darby Allin, his wrestling psychology is absolutely retarded. That's all I can say about that. MJF pretty much mentions that on commentary, and he says, look, the man is putting himself through hell. I have respect for him, but the guy is doing illogical things to his body. He's wearing and tearing his body down. He's not being a very smart intellectual champion like myself who would not do that. I care about my legacy. I care about being the absolute best in this business. And this man doesn't seem to care anything about that. He said, how does he expect to be a long-term champion and call himself the best if he's constantly putting his body through hell and defending his title every single week? Sounds like a very smart breakdown and criticism of Darby Allin's title run. And Dave Meltzer says this is a once-in-a-lifetime great championship run? Some shit like that? What? How is this good wrestling psychology? How is this intelligent? You're knowing full well you're going up against one of the best wrestlers in AEW. And you're defending your title every single week. And you're willing to put it on the line in a rematch for your world championship while you break yourself down leading to that pay-per-view and expect yourself to actually win? I'm sorry, but it is very hard to fathom MJF losing this match. He got his token victory. Good for him. His real victory should have happened last year at All In against Jon Moxley. Okay, he climbed Mount Everest. Good for him. But this was not a moment. This is nothing. This is a joke. Here, let's just hand him the title for a month and let him run with it and get as many title defenses under his belt as he humanly possibly can before he drops it back to the real world champion. Because that's honestly what this is. It's just an exchange. It's basically MJF letting Darby Allin borrow the world championship to say he was a fucking world champion for one time in his life. And then ultimately drop it back over to MJF so he can, continue on his run as world champion as he should have in the first place. This is not a great run. The matches are fantastic. I have nothing against the matches. But the psychology of his championship run is absolutely retarded. It is blatantly stupid and irresponsible. That is not what a world champion does if he wants to claim he's the best in the world. Darby Allin is not the best in the world. He's an absolute nutcase. That's really what he is. And everything that MJF said about him in commentary while watching the match take place in the main event was 100% correct. MJF is not a bad guy. MJF is just an egotistical asswipe. But if he wants to, he can win any match clean. He does not need to cheat. He is a very smart, intellectual performer. And that's really the way he should be in his matches. He shouldn't cheat. He should not look for a way to cheat. He doesn't need to. He can still be a heel and not have to cheat. Look at Gunther. He doesn't cheat. At least all the time, he don't. He usually wins his matches clean as a heel and as someone that nobody likes. He beat John Cena clean. He did not cheat. That I can respect, despite the ending of the match I did not like, but he won clean. He did not need to cheat, low blows, none of that stuff. No outside interferences, no help from nobody. He did it by himself. I give that man all the credit in the world, and I love that they booked him in that sense. So I'm glad he didn't do that, at least, in that horrific ending of a John Cena retirement match, where he smiled and basically might as well gave everyone the fucking bird, which I still will never forget. I mean, it was ridiculous, but whatever. I'm going to move on from that. Anyway, we get a second match. Mark Briscoe and Tommaso Ciampa in an Anything Goes hardcore match. This match was fucking brutal. Absolutely fucking brutal. And Mark Briscoe ends up winning the match at the end. And Tommaso Ciampa continues to keep losing. I don't know why. I don't understand the reason why Tommaso Ciampa needs to continue to keep losing all the time. I thought we were going to see the best out of Tommaso Ciampa, better than a 2018 version of Tommaso Ciampa. And I thought we were going to see that when he initially came in, and then he just fell off the face of the earth after he lost the TNT title. So I don't quite get it, but whatever. So Tony Schiavone's in the ring, but out comes Prince Nana, and he insults Tony, and Tony leaves the ring. Prince Nana introduces Swerve Strickland. As Swerve is coming down to the ring, Bandito hits him from behind. He throws Swerve into the barricade, and Bandito gets in the ring and lands a splash onto Swerve on the outside of the ring. He throws Swerve into the ring steps, and Prince Nana grabs a steel chair, but Bandito hits him with a right hand. Swerve kicks Bandito on the leg, and he throws Bandito in the ring, and Swerve grabs a chair. And then Swerve grabs Bandito, but Bandito with a right hand, and Bandito gorilla presses, slams Swerve, and Bandito grabs the chair, but Swerve rolls to the outside of the ring. So I think Swerve is getting the W here. I really do, at Double or Nothing for the first round of this tournament. The Owen Hart tournament. So I honestly think Swerve is going to be moving on to the next round. I don't think he's losing Bandino. Bandino had the upper hand here, and generally in most cases when they have the upper hand, they usually end up losing in the actual show itself. We cut backstage to Willow Nightingale and talks about being the AEW TBS champion. She says that she told herself to fight day in and day out to any challenger. She says that she suffered a shoulder injury and has to vacate her championship. Willow says that she is out of the Owen Hart tournament because of the injury. Oh shit, that sucks. Next we had Jon Moxley and Kyle O'Reilly in a Continental Championship Eliminator match. This match went over 20 minutes. Grueling back and forth matchup. Thought this match was very decent. Kyle O'Reilly is a pretty fair wrestler. I think he's talented, but he just lacks charisma and character development, I think. But his wrestling capabilities is top notch. I think technician wrestler, he's really good. So the match ends by a time limit draw, and Kyle looks less than pleased by what happened, taking a microphone to say he didn't survive a damn thing. He knows he can beat Mox considering he's made him tap out before, and demanding his title match have no time limit before telling Mox he's out of luck. I'm sorry, you're going to lose. I don't think he's losing. Backstage, we hear from Chris Statland and Hikaru Shida, who address the news about Willow Nightingale. They talk about keeping their eyes on the entire women's division, as one of them will be champion after Double or Nothing and will be ready for whoever wins the Owen Hart tournament and becomes #1 contender. Then we head back to ringside for our next match. This is an 8-women tag team matchup with Athena and the Triangle of Madness with Tekla, Julia Hart, and Sky Blue against Thunder Rosa, Mina Shirakawa, and the Brawling Birds, which is Alex Windsor and Jamie Hayter. This match was whatever. This was the least that I cared about. Probably I did not give a flying shit. Match ended with a screwjob finish with Tekla spitting black mist into their eyes. And gets the roll-up pinfall for the win. And Tekla and the rest of the team get the W. So then we head backstage. Renee tries to talk to Mox about his match tonight as he and his boys do push-ups, and Mox gets to say he doesn't sweat the small stuff, thanking Kyle for pushing him and making him crazy as he can't seem to beat Kyle O'Reilly. He notes Kyle has tapped him twice, but what are the odds he can do it a third time? He says this time the house finally wins, and Game 7's the only game that really matters because the title is on the line, and that's the only thing that counts. And when it's on the line, Moxley is going to retain. 100% correct. No ifs, ands, buts about it. He's winning and retaining that championship this Sunday. No fucking doubt about it. If he loses this match, this would be the most terrible booking I've ever seen in an AEW show. And I've complained about a lot of fucking shit. But that would be the absolute worst. Because Kyle O'Reilly hasn't done shit on this show. Yes, he's had a series of wins over Jon Moxley in the past, but not actually be continuously on the show week to week to week. Sorry. Main event time, the AEW World Championship. Darby Allin defended the title against Speedball Mike Bailey. This was a good matchup. But Speedball Mike Bailey? Really? Like, we were going to believe this was going to be a match that we could really be concerned about as being a back and forth matchup. Yeah, it was back and forth booking wise, but still, we're expecting this to be in a flip of the coin type of situation where we would actually believe that at some solitary moment Mike Bailey was going to win. Get the fuck out of here. Mike Bailey ends up losing by tap out in a sharpshooter, or a deathlock, the Scorpion Deathlock as they call it. And Speedball just taps out after he tries to get closer and closer to ropes, but he couldn't move any further. Darby's was sitting directly on his back with no give, no room to be able to move, and he was basically stuck. He had nowhere to go, and his back was basically aching the shit out of him, so he just, at that point, had to tap out. He was stuck, and that was it. Darby wins. Darby is presented the title, but barely moving as Dynamite goes off the air and the show closes. Now, I'm not watching Collision, watching 3 hours worth of wrestling like I would on a fucking SmackDown show. So that's pretty much the end of this review. This was a decent show. Fast pace. Love the format of this show. Stories actually were touched on here. There was discussion about the Okada and Takeshita match in a vignette video also. I forgot to mention. So this was not a bad show by any means. Last week's episode, I was not into it. I don't know if maybe the show was good and I just wasn't paying attention or just didn't give a shit to watch wrestling that week. But this week's Dynamite was a decent show. I had fun watching it. I thought the action was good. I thought the storytelling was somewhat presentable in this show. Darby Allin and MJF's story, I think, is really good, but at the same time makes Darby look like a schmuck in this situation leading into the pay-per-view. It's not really good ring psychology or wrestling psychology, whatever way you want to give the terminology of it. But he's not coming across like a smart champion. He's coming across like a idiot, in my personal opinion. But that's just my opinion in it at this point, guys. So at this time, you know what to do. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And leave a comment down below. I'll definitely get back to you on that. Thank you guys very much for watching. And have a great night, guys. Bye.